We have posted our Fed's Paulson's speech on the economy for you to read through. Also, the US existing home sales report is out on the feed as well.
Good morning, good morning. We just pushed right down into our reversion zone. We've gotten two reversion signals. We're now holding our reversion zone as supportive. Looks like we might have to come back up to our PVC value low, would be my guess, if we hold here. And then a continuation down for sell side to for one more leg down. Just kind of keeping an eye on this, and then we'll go from there. Same thing on ES.
Guild AI raises $1.4 billion, now valued over $14 billion. The Skilled AI raises $1.4 billion in round, led by SoftBank. So just again, a reminder for users well, hopefully we'll get some form of news about the opinions from the Supreme Court on tariffs. There's no specific time that it's supposed to be released. and there's no other news so far that's come from the Supreme Court to say whether they deferred it or not. So we're still waiting for something.
Okay.
Supreme Court doesn't rule on Trump's tariffs today. So again, Supreme Court doesn't rule on Trump's tariffs today.
Into targets here. Holding of our pivots.
Again, that's the US Supreme Court does not issue ruling on the legality of Trump tariffs.
See if we get another offer here. This is us holding our reversion zone edges and then rotating back up into value low to POC of our previous ranges. Deleting this now that this is played.
Still waiting to see if what date they defer it to. But considering we're expecting it last Wednesday, they probably might do it for next Wednesday instead.
If we can hold value low to POC, our red to orange line here should be able to rotate up to value high of PVZs. So keeping an eye to see if we can build here.
Broadcom shares down 3.8% after Beijing tells Chinese firms to ban use of software from co-owned VMware. As a reminder from news in the morning, you had Beijing telling Chinese firms to stop using US and Israeli cybersecurity software. So VMware, Palo Alto Networks, Fortinet, and Checkpoint Software are among firms whose cybersecurity software have been banned in China. That was according to sources from news in the morning. According to TASS News, Putin and Brazilian president discuss Venezuela.
As we push up into 969, this is your next target on ES off of the flip of our pivot from PVZ value It's just a full value rotation. This is your first risk off on both NQ and NES. We push into 700s and 970s. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, you guys see what I'm talking about, right? Push into our reversion zone, 3 reversion signals with a 0 invalidations, hold of our edge, rotation up to our value low for the reversion trade. Our value low to POC becomes supportive. We're now looking for a rotation up to 720, which is basically our 30-second opening range low for full target if we're going to do the NQ value rotation. Right, so we're just watching to see if this 640 to 610 can hold as supportive on NQ, and then we can rotate up. You take profit into
US
700 to
tells
720.
personnel in Saudi Arabia to exercise caution.
Same thing on ES. We pushed into our reversion zone. We then held our edge as supportive and recovered our ADR. We rotated up, first target being our PVC value low to POC. Secondary target is our value high here. If we can hold our value high, then we can look to see if we can recover our 30-second opening range for a rotation back up to our previous day value low. Okay, well, you get to ask him about that because I was not there.
In 10 minutes' time, we're expecting the EIA crude oil inventories forecast a draw of 1.682 million. Prior, a draw of 3.832 million. EIA gasoline inventories forecast a build of 2 million. Prior, a build of 7.702 million. Distillate inventories, a forecast of a draw of 0.662 million. Prior, a build of 5.594 million. And EIA crude Cushing inventories, prior, a build of 0.728 million. Also expecting comments from Bank of England's Ramsden.
Immediate bid off of our PVZ POCs. We are still just within our PVZ structure. No change, just rotating here.
So just a reminder with last night's API data, API crude oil stock change came in at a build compared to the prior of a draw of 2.8 million. So also a reminder for Ramsden, text is to be expected for him. There is a Q&A on record. 5 minutes away until we get the EIA crude oil inventories forecasted for a draw of 1.682 million. Prior was a draw of 3.832 million. Gasoline inventories forecasted for a build of 2 million. Prior was a build of 7.702 million. Distillate inventories forecasted for a draw of 0.662 million. Prior was a build of 5.594 million. Crude Cushing inventories prior was a build of 0.728 million. We're also expecting text from Bank of England's Ramsden, seeing UK 5-year gilt yield the lowest since October 2024, down 4 basis points on the day. Also, UK 10-year yields falling to around 4.36%, the lowest since December 2024. Further detail into US personnel in Saudi Arabia who were told to exercise caution by the US. The US mission to Saudi Arabia advises personnel and citizens to exercise increased caution in light of ongoing regional tensions. So it advises limiting non-essential travel to any military installations in the region. US mission staffing and operations are unchanged and consular services continue as normal.
Pushing into our PVZ value low here, watching to see if we find a bid into 610 and can get back over 640. RTY into VWAP.
1 minute ago now, I'll leave with the EIA crude oil inventories. Also remember, text is expected for Bank of England's Ramsden.
Yes, leading down. We'll watch to see. That is the clearest offer out of anything above. So, what if it re-offers and fails here? That should lead to a full rotation back through, seeing as that's the clearest price action. And it's done the full move already. Our hold of our POC back up to our value. Now, if we get an offer here into this supply, then I would be looking for that rotation back down to our lows at 40s. Watch our POC as we push into it at 48s for that reaction, and then re-offer would be my guess.
build of 3.391 million, a build of 3.391 million compared to the expected draw of 1.682 million. Gasoline inventories, a build of 8.997 million compared to the expected build of 2 million. Distillate inventories, a draw of 0.029 million compared to the expected draw of 0.662 million. Didn't see any reaction from WTI off the back of that data. Fed's Myron, comments coming through here saying deregulation is to boost productivity and potential growth, and ignoring deregulation risks needlessly contractionary policy. Myron also added that Trump deregulatory push supports rate cuts. Also, Fed's Myron says perhaps 30% of regulation could be eliminated by 2030, cutting inflation by perhaps half a percentage point a year. Also, Myron adds that if central banks don't accommodate impact of deregulation, it makes policy too tight with needless damper on growth.
No reoffer yet. Still waiting for it.
Bank of England's Ramsden says for banks, we have implemented the key resolution policy developments that we expect to. Adding it's important that our resolution regime responds to changes in the financial system, including the growth of market-based finance. Ramsden says we have more to do to ensure firms and the bank are ready to implement a CCP resolution.
Coming back up into our value edge here, watching to see if we get a reoffer. And do our edge here at 600.
Ramsden says we are considering what failure arrangements are necessary for systemic stablecoins.
Testing in now. Let's see if an offer is found here.
We have posted out the weekly EIA inventories report on the feed for you to read through. Senate Majority Leader Thune, speaking to reporters, says, I'm not sure I have the votes to stop War Powers Act vote today. adding there are no boots on the ground in Venezuela. We have posted our Bank of England's Ramsden speech on the feed for you to read through.
Mm, 610 is offered almost 30 points, but I need to see a bit more, or we could still get a higher bid here. With Russell finding a low into our reversion zone. We don't see a drastic sell soon, then this seller's going to be stuffed, and then we'll rotate back up instead of down. Same thing on EOS, same zone as before. If
That
this
concludes
ADR
from
continues to hold, then we'll just do the same rotation again, back up to 53. We need to see sell side step below our value of our previous candle. Right? If our low is still maintaining here, then there's no change. Watch as RTY comes up into VWAP. Need to see a loss of momentum here, or again, we will stuff sellers into these lows on NQ and ES. Momentum persists. We want to see sell side show interest for a lower high on RTY, or again, we will just rotate back up off of a failure to shift value here, and then get another pop back over 640. This loss of momentum has to be
now speaking of the Delphi Economic Forum.
Very clear.
Is on the feed. It's also on the left-hand side of the economic calendar. What is the name?
It's the same trade as before on ES. Hold of our reversion zone low, recovery of our edge, rotation back up to value low while we're waiting. No change on NQ. Offer can still be here. But as long as RTY is continuing to rotate up into VWAP, you're going to get this reversion trade. Watch your edge here at 45s on ES. Russell has gotten into our VWAP and has lost a little bit of momentum. No change on NQ. 610, 640 still holding this offer. As we push down into our lows here into 70, this should be your first risk off if you're playing off of that edge. This is our reversion zone here at 60. Again, this is a great risk off. You are playing off of that 610, 640. We can flip below it. We should be able to get a nice, good, nice leg. Back down to like 500, but we got to flip our
According to New York Times,
value low
US
to
way is
POC of
expanding
this
private companies'
low
role
candle,
in
where this is where
cyber
the bid
warfare.
will be. What rebid?
So again, it's the US weighing in listing private firms to assist cyber attacks.
Off of 610? Should be able to get a nice leg down here now that we've broken our lows. Good offer. Flip. See if we can get some continuation. Just literally nothing other than waiting for that Russell lost momentum into VWAP, giving us our trade for our short on NQ. And a yes. We know that RTY was the reason why that low even found a bounce. As soon as that loses momentum, the market dies. Nothing new. Looking for like 450 if we can hold this pivot. It's a good target here into 508, and then 450 would be my target below this. Might have to watch for another reoffer if we can't flip this short term. Yes, I really don't have much until way down here into our V pocket 890. I'll have to see if I can find anything before that. And target like this wick low, and then this here into 927. So let's see what happens.
US stocks extend full, S&P 500 down 1%.
Maybe like this. Pushing into our first target here at 927 on ES. This is our liquidity pocket here. Should look for a bit of a reoffer, a bit higher afterwards. This is RTY into our PVZ value low. Should expect a bit of relief here as well as we push into that. See if we create a higher low there for a divergence. Just move your stops down as we push down. Just took off a little bit more. Just in runners now for a full target on NQ.
Seeing the S&P 500 extending decline to 1%, Nasdaq 100 falling 1.6%.
As we push back down into RTY, I'm going to be looking for a potential double bottom, which could give a bit of a pop before we get our next leg down. To watch for that. I'm also really keeping an eye on our NVIDIA here, as it's coming back down into a potential double bottom as well from a hold of our IB mid as our resistance. Just going to keep an eye on that. Russell and NVIDIA, right, both coming back down into lows. Could be potentially reactive for the rest of the market.
US States International Trade Commission starts Section 337 probe of some wearable devices.
Full bid and rotation of our Russell range here back to our view up as resistance. Watching to see if we get another loss of momentum for another leg down on NQ. Now that we've done our full rotation on Russell. Offer sitting at 39s on ES. How many contracts is that? 800 contracts at 39 on the offer on ES. I haven't seen anything yet to invalidate my short, so we expected a bounce. I'm just break even on my runners here as we wait to see what we do. I'd like one more leg down personally, but if I get stopped, I get stopped break even on my runners. Watching to see if we lose momentum up here again into our 30-second opening range on RTY. 3 minutes left on this candle. New 15s opening now. We're watching to see if this POC hold from previous 15 can get over this 13. If it can, then we'll head up to 540 for offer into this supply, into our PVZ reversion, right? Reversion in play, higher low potentially. We're watching to see if we can breach these highs. If we can, then we'd go up here for the offer. Look in, offer, continue down.
To punch for
Would be my guess.
Hawleys to vote to end War Powers resolution effort.
If we just flip below this instead and we hold here and we make this resistance, then we'll go down to target. Would be my assumption.
Senator Hawley, or one of the 5 Republicans who voted to advance the war powers resolution last week, tells a reporter that he will vote with GOP leaders on a procedural maneuver to kill the effort.
Same thing on ES. Found liquidity at our liquidity zone. Just rotating right now, high or low. Maybe it comes back up into our ADR and our pivot here. And then I'd just be looking for, I don't know, some sort of continuation down like so. That'll lead to our next leg. We're gonna do it. If not, then we'll flip this and then it'll be the same range as before. I don't have like huge confidence in either direction here. This is why I just stay in my runners from my break-even position and let it play, because we're just building here. It can go literally either way. The only thing you have to go off of for scalp wise is the open of the new 15, right? Like that's the only information that you have. So you either play off of that structural high or low, or you're already in a short from higher. I hope that's clear what I'm talking about, right? Like you have 2 abilities. You have like the ability to try off of this as your risk for the higher low trade. Once we get that reversion and we hold a POC, it's like, okay, well then we're just gonna revert up to this supply here on footprint. And then that becomes a trade that's viable. And that's just a return to value, our value edge. And then it'll be a retest to see if that seller still sits there, or you're just still in the short from earlier, right? Because nothing has invalidated about the overall trend down. Even this trade here would just be a reversion and a push to our downtrend, right? Like if I put this on, you see what I mean? So that's why I've given that idea, because I see the long setup for that higher low hold with the new 15, but it's just a push into this liquidity that's here. Same thing on ES. I just want to make sure that that opportunity is there for you guys while we wait. So as we push up into this, right, this is, of course, your first risk off as we push into 530, 560. If we can flip that, then we'd rotate back up to like 620. But I'd expect sell side to try to defend here. Immediate rejection into our edge where our supply was sitting. Watch for a potential higher low here at 510, 512, right? POC of current candle here, as well as our value high of our previous candle. We'll watch to see if this edge can hold to try to defend. That's like your best shot for buyers, is from this supply. We then see the ability to bid here and then continue on our way. If this offer from here doesn't hold and then we push back through, then it's going to be just a range rotation while we wait for things to happen. And that's how you find a secondary opportunity in markets like this.
Google say Gemini introduces personal intelligence.
Did people play the long into that offer or play the offer back down? Either one? Or are you still in it with me from higher? What's going on? Nice. Okay, well the offer back down has already given you 30 points from our edge. Just think of it as a range rotation until you can breach lows. But overall trend is down, right? So I always am trying to leave runners in the direction of our overall trend until that invalidates.
Reports say that Tesla is struggling to offload about a third of the initial vehicles it imported to India last year. Further detail into this, and Tesla is struggling to offload
Tesla.
about a third of the initial vehicles it imported to India last year, as some prospective buyers who made early bookings have backed out, according to people familiar with the matter.
The old Tesla. There's Sparrow.
Fitzmyer says introduction of stablecoins will reinforce the dollar. Myers says institutions of the US are strong, and what matters is if policies are good or bad. Myers says stories about risks to US institutions are from people looking for clicks.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes right now from
Byron
critics,
says
which
threat
means
to Fed
like
won't drive inflation. Now, this is in the
it's,
Q&A part with Fitzmyer in Athens.
what do you mean it's decent? The episode hasn't come out. Are you a critic? Hello? What's your perspective? Have you watched it? I'm so confused. What? What? What's your personal perspective? The way that they act, the way that Rotten Tomatoes works is like anything lower than 90 is kind of rough. 80's fine. We'll see how it goes though. But though like it's a little the way that they do it is a bit off. Like it doesn't. It's not as like 80% isn't as good as you think it is. That means like people. I mean, here let's look at it.
Fitzmyer reiterates the need for 150 base points of cuts this year. Myron says inflation is coming down. The other stuff is just noise.
Let's see if I can find the math. Sorry, I didn't mean to like stop mid sentence. I'm trying to find how like the math breakdown of how their percents work. because it's weird because it's like the percentile base that it's based off of is like how many people gave it more than a 3.5%. Sorry, a 3.5 stars out of 5. Right? And then that creates an aggregate percent score of being like, this was good or not. So it could be like 80% of the people gave it said it was better than average, right? Like, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is it's not like, it's not out of 100. Yes, it's 80% of people are saying that it's not terrible. Do you get me? That's why it's odd. So like, a 60 is considered fresh because that means that 60% of the audience liked it more than they hated it. Right? So then that's a certified fresh thing because it has over a 60% of critics liked it. That's why it's a weird score on Rotten Tomatoes. So when you see like an 80% on the initial episode, it's like 80% of people gave it more than a 3.5. That's why it's a weird scoring system. And it's kind of like can be misconstrued very oh sorry, certified fresh is 75%. So that means that at least 40 of the 80 viewers, right, had to at least give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a weird scoring system because it's like, oh, 80% of people gave it a C. Like it's kind of weird. You have to like go into the actual thing and then look at it. Lord. But yeah, no, I hope it's good as well. I would love that. But I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes at all because of their benign scoring system. I wish I could like get both of these to show up without them being completely different. So annoying. Held our lows so far. Nothing really to talk about here. Just back to our offer. Excuse me. Let's see if we could flip these pivots for rotations through our upper balance, or if we're going to look above, fail here, and then look back through. Just into our supply on footprint. RTY leading up. As soon as that loses momentum, market either dies or we'll flip pivots, and then RTY will hold day open, and then we'll continue on our merry way to upside, trapping all of these people down here. We'll see. Just into our top edge, though. See if we can flip our get back into value, or if value holds as resistance.
Just a reminder for later on in the US session, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Trump is to sign a bill allowing schools to serve whole and 2% milk. Bank of England's Ramsden says removing ring fencing of banks would be a real challenge to the UK financial stability framework.
I'd like to see a much more substantial retest of our edge here if we're going to trade upper balance now. Watching our PVZ for the flip and see if we can flag here. Or this will be a very clear look above, fail, where we trap, and then we look back below and then offer this as our area of resistance. So just keeping an eye, see if we can flag here for this rotation up, and then play this as our balance, or if we're gonna trap, I'm unsure as of yet. This is just our ES into our VWAP. It's already done the upper rotation for the most part, so NQ would be lagging. Your first target, if we can hold this edge, is going to be this POC here at 590. If we can hold here. This is RTY back into our highs. I'm not incredibly sold on this upside move yet, personally. But if we could see Russell flag here like so, and show this is an area of interest and take out these highs, sure, why not? But if we can't hold this 51, then I just expect this to come back down, trapping. So I'm really watching to see if Russell momentum can continue and we can get this bid to maintain here on NQ. As long as, again, like that 530 is maintaining and we're just building here, should be able to rotate up to 620 pretty easily, with 590 being first target. Just into that POC. But let's watch to see if Russell reverts here, or if we can hold our edge. Again, ES has already done the move, so there's nothing really to do there on ES. If ES and RTY lose momentum here, then NQ might be kind of like shit out of luck. We'd want to see a much better retest on ES into like 45s for this to have more upside potential, I think, where we come back down into this ADR and then go for this, something like that.
City CEO warns of more job cuts and calls time on old and bad habits.
Into our first target here into 590 off of our hold and flip. Again, this is just POC of that sell side candle. We took off our first risk into 590. Got another contract sitting there. And then I have a couple sitting at 620 on the way up if we can continue to maintain here. I wish I could get these to like show up correctly. Maybe, okay, maybe I can. If I extend right, yeah, okay, that'll fix it. There we go. Again, this is first target if you're playing off of our flip of our pivot from our lower to upper balance. RTY continuing to flag and hold like we talked about. ES kind of doing its own thing, just pushing back up to this 960. If we can flip that, that will be I'll be a lot more confident in the move. But we're just doing the structural play that we just did on ES now on NQ, right? Like that's the whole idea. So we've already flipped the pivot. We didn't need to retest. We just popped and pushed. We're going back up to our daily POC here into 960, as well as the supply that sits here. I personally don't see anything on ES until we can flip back over this. This just looks like supply to me. So it's very hard for me to look for anything on ES in particular, but we are just playing this as an upside move because Russell has so much momentum built in and we were able to break out of our range. And NQ, of course, was able to flip our pivot into first target, which was just into this. Again, POC from that previous candle. Very clear that there are cells sitting there at 590. Huge deltas that are stacked there from the way down. This trade is completely break even for me if we stop out below 530. Now that I've taken off half into 590. It's a 1-to-1 here. Right? One to one. And then we'll watch to see if these guys get trapped up here now that we've hit first target. And then again, potentially there's this play in mind. If we do trade our lower balance, I'm unsure, but we'll see. Again, there's nothing here for me on ES. Like this is just like very clearly supply above. If we get the pullback and it's a bit deeper into this area, then maybe there's something here. But we need to see it first. I just haven't seen anything yet that I like on ES. Yes, almost into target here. Bottom of our range as well as our value. Watching to see if we find a bid or if this is going to flip. Should give us a reaction on NQ as well as we push down into it. Just watching our value edge here on ES as well as ADR. RTY coming back down after failing to get back over yesterday's 30-second opening range. Yes, either saves this market or we'll flip and then everything will be trapped. Really watching to see if NQ can hold now here into this 535.60 off of the flip, or if this is going to just be two-sided.
Denmark's
This is
says
our
other
pivot
NATO
here on
countries
ES.
take part in Greenland drill and 2026 Greenland military drill to have permanent nature.
What is upper and lower
French government
balance?
advised that the
It is
first
where I
no confidence
expect
motion filed by hard left party France Unbowed in the National Assembly.
it's where I expect price to rotate in between if we're above or below said pivot.
And Denmark's defence minister says we will have a more permanent presence on Greenland going forward.
Very nice bid off of ES. See if we have any follow through, if that's all we get. There's really not much here on NQ yet. We're just waiting on ES and RTY to figure out what they want to do. We've got two POCs above us. We rejected our sell side, right? Like nothing has changed about any of this. We're just watching to see if we get anything new information-wise. This can honestly be shifted to here.
Bank of England's Ramsden says key difference for policy this year is we are not looking at a hump in CPI.
These guys are offsides here, right? So as long as that's maintaining, it's going to be a bit of a rough look for anything more.
Bank of England's Ramsden says wages remain a key focus for me.
Voice news disconnected.
Retesting our ES pivot here. RTY lower high. See what we do. Usually when it says that, it's not actually disconnected. Yeah. When it doesn't say it and we just don't hear from it again is when it's actually disconnected.
Bank of England's Ramsden says my starting point is that neutral rate is in the middle of the 2 to 4% range. And Ramsden says unemployment and redundancies are picking up.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not sold on either direction here on NQ from our hold of our 590, where we took profit off of our flip of our 530, 560. But now I'm just waiting for ES and RTY to figure out what they're going to do. If we flip these pivots on ES and RTY and they start to lead down, then we can play NQ down further. But yeah. I'm just waiting. I'm not going to short NQ or ES here with us holding our value edge, right? Like that just is actually brain dead. So now I have to wait to see if we can hold below our value edge on ES. This is our daily value low. Shorting into it without actual structurally looking below and holding is just like a way to set yourself up for failure, in my opinion. Does not meet risk to reward conditions. So you either took a short into the supply at 553 to 559, like we talked about, and you were looking for this rotation down and you're taking risk off here, or you're now watching reactions here into our edge now that that is fully played, and you're watching to see if we can flip this or not. Right? Like nothing about this upper edge changed from supply. We are looking for this reversion back down here. Now we're watching to see if the bid can hold and rotate up, or if we're going to look below and then offer this. But I'm not shorting into this edge because we already knew that supply was above. So the only short trade that was viable, right, is playing off of that with that understanding of what we're looking for a pullback. So me trying to short here into this doesn't make sense because we already knew where the short location was. Now this would be just a FOMO, right? Like a chase. So if we can hold this from a look below, sure, we can try. And then we can play this lower rotation. If we can sustain below, I'd like to see a bit better of a sustain. But this is just as likely going to be a longing location, and then we'll use this as our risk from any sort of look above and then rotation back up, like so. So really keeping our eye on this area now to see what happens. I would much rather play from the hold of the edge than into the edge. RTY doing a full oscillation back to VWAP off of a failure here. Again, just failure above 560, rotation up into our POC here. Rotation back below 530 led to full rotation back down on NQ. Just back down to our pivot here now off of that flip of 530s. Russell back to VWAP, watched for a bounce here, ES back through, almost at full rotation down into our lows. So no invalidation, just back to our demand down here off of our failure on the upper balance. I continue to expect us to just chop until we figure out if Russell's going to get below or above VWAP here. As we push back down into our lows on NQ and ES, we'll just watch this as well. Like I have no real opinion here. It's just our same rotations as before off of failures above. You guys need to be happy with the 1-to-1 trades. Like I really like the reason why like it's so incredibly important to be able to understand your risk at any given point. I can't reiterate it enough, and it's why I always talk about your first risk off and allowing yourself to like you have to allow trades to play. Like at no point is this not worth trying, right? We take off into our first offer into 590, but then I allow myself to get stopped out, and then it's just an immediate rotation of our lower balance, right? So this trade is free because it was a 1-to-1 risk to reward, and our invalidation just plays for itself. Like either we sustain here and we continue up, and then we feel good about this trade. But if it fails, I'm not mad at that. We tried, the structure played, we rotated into first target. This trade is now 1-to-1 risk to reward. And as soon as we flip below, I then am just playing off of our same pivot for the rotation back down, right? Like there's nothing.
Top of the hour, we're expected to hear from Fed's Bostic and Fed's Kashkari speaking at two separate events.
Like you just
so Fed's Kashkari speaking
have to
in a
allow
virtual
things to
hall
play.
with the Wisconsin Bankers Association. No indication whether text or Q&A is to be expected. Then Fed's Bostic is speaking or participating in a moderate discussion with David Rubinger, where no text is expected, but a Q&A is with moderator. Both videos are on the feed for you to watch. Remember, that's at the top of the hour. According to newspaper here, UK withdraws personnel from military bases in Qatar. So again, that's according to newspaper. Says the UK withdraws personnel from military bases in Qatar.
What is this? Lord. Pushing into our lower target here. See what happens as we push into this 450. This was our lower target that we wanted. Just deleting that now that we've played it. Russell starting to lead down. ES to our reversion zone low. Watching our lows here. This is where that demand was. If we can flip this, I still think that we head down to like 890. But we'll have to watch to see what we do here. This is full target for me on NQ. You can try to hold a runner, but I don't know. Just move your stops down or make them break even, I feel like. Just watch our value edge to see if we hold it as resistance now. Keeping an eye on Russell, 30-second opening range low. See if we can hold this as offer into our view up as well. If this can hold, then we should get one more leg down. That'd be my guess. Knowing the clear risk for each trade in order to take a one-to-one is key. Listen, man, like nothing is gonna be perfect. Like it's if you're looking for perfection, you're in the wrong business.
10% to 12-week low on dropping gas flows to LNG export plants.
It's very hard to be perfect, and so you have to be willing to. How do I even word this? I don't know. There are too many of you who are still just looking for 100% win rates, and that's just not how the world works. There's way too many factors, and every single aspect of this is out of our control other than the risk that we put on. We don't control where we go. We don't control anything, right? Like we don't move the markets. We don't do anything. Literally every factor other than us pressing buy and sell is out of our control. Right? So we can only play off of the information that's in front of us, and it's all historical. It's very hard to like you have to just kind of do it. Like I don't know. You create a scenario in your head, you be systematic about it. I play off of a key pivot. The pivot either works or it doesn't. It doesn't matter to me because I understand that my trading is going to be centered around said pivot, and we'll either have made money or we won't, but I'm not going to stay in a losing trade, and then we'll flip in the opposite direction because the idea in which I had invalidated, right? And then we'll rotate back through. Like either we hold or we don't, you know?
Both videos are on the feed, free to watch.
And then it's just about creating then those invalidation levels based off of the zones in which we're trading. I mean, the market usually moves in very clear point rotations, so it's very easy to set up your risk to reward because the market isn't just like moving up 2,000 points and then down 10 points and then up 2,000 points and then down 10 points, right? Like it moves in very clear rotations of point by point. How do I word this? This is a very clear and controlled sell, right? Like the points in which we bounce and then we sell our next leg are usually very similar. So if we're dropping 40 points here, and then
Taiwanese officials head to Washington to advance trade pact. It's according to people familiar with the matter describing Taiwanese officials.
Do you see how we drop another 40 points after a slight bounce? Do you see how there's a rhythm to the market on a day-to-day basis? So your risk to reward and where you're looking and where you can expect things should be pretty obvious because the market trades in cycles, right? And there's another one as well, right? Like it moves in very similar patterns. And so you can understand if when you're wrong or right based off of what's happening, right? So here's another 40 points. Every single down leg before a relief is 40 points. So if you understand that, you can create pivots around it. And it doesn't have to be 40 points. It's arbitrary. Today it's 40 points, but the market is trading within a rhythm, right? Each sell is 40 points, and then we get a relief, and then we get another 40-point sell. It's over and over and over again. So like, you know, if you're right or wrong, and you can find out where those pivots are, and you can be trading around that, right? Like it's a very clear controlled sell right now that's happening into target. And so like, again, like it's not that you can find patterns within the randomness that is the market. And so you can create some pretty clear parameters for yourself of like when, where things invalidate, right? Like if you see the same fucking pattern play 17 times in a row, and we're, you know, bouncing 10 points and then going down 40 points over and over again in a trending down market, when that changes, right, like that's something you should be then looking for. And it's like, oh, okay, well, like what's happening now?
Citi CEO in a message to employees says employees that automation and AI may cut some roles. Again, Citi CEO says in a message to employees that automation and AI may cut some roles. Surely expected to hear from Fed Bostic and Kashkari. Again, no text is expected for either of them. Well, it's not clear whether text is expected for Kashkari, but both videos are out on the feed for you to watch. Seeing American Express, Capital One, and Synchrony falling to session lows.
I'd like to see one more leg down, but I might be being greedy. We'll see. New 15's opening now.
Did see a headline earlier on that Built unveils cards capped at 10% in wake of Trump demands. And again, American Express and Capital One falling on the Built new cards news.
Flat POC open from previous candles. It's watching our Russell retest. It's very clearly a buyer down here at target. This was our higher time frame target, but I'm watching to see if we hold our previous lows as resistance on our rotation back up. See if we can hold this as our offer and then continue downwards from that, or if we flip back into value and then need to rotate back up. I don't know yet. We'll see. Same thing on ES, just our lows maintaining where this demand is. If we can flip it, then we're in a very good position, but if not, well I don't know, we'll find out. We know where we're headed on ES. This VPOC down at 890, but we have to be able to show interest below. I need to see Russell not continue to sustain. I mean, there's like literally nothing on the sell leg that I want to be playing around. Very clearly a buyer at like 460, 440. If we can flip that, then we'll have a nice secondary leg, but until then, we could rotate all the way back up to 510 here, and it would still be the same trade. Like, there's just no
Just a heads
structure
up,
here. It's
the
so
video for
thin.
Bostic hasn't started, but Fitz Kashkari's video has.
It's so thin.
They're just doing the introductions for Fitz Kashkari.
So I just want to see if we're going to hold this 490, 475 area. That'd be me the most confidence that sell side is in control, because if not, then we'll just retrace this entire candle and come back up to our, again, like our 510 area. We're waiting for Russell and ES to have another leg down. Without it, the market just does what it wants. We hit target for downside, so now we have to figure out what we're going to do. If we can hold previous buyers as sellers, then great, we continue downwards. If we can't, then we're going to rotate back up. This was target for our short side as well, right? It's our full rotation of our value. Again, for any sort of downside, I need to see us flip this pivot. Once we do that, then we can look for more. Once this becomes resistance. Until then, it's just a balance.
Citi CEO says that we're interested in collaborating with the administration on the affordability of credit.
The affordability of credit. What do I think about Russell? I don't know, man. It's just chopping around our 30-second opening range. Nothing very clear. It looks like it wants to bid again, in my opinion. We're above VWAP. I'd be watching to see if our day open holds the supportive again for rotations up. And if that does that, then this trade on NQ and ES is going to be rough. So just watch your ORM to ORH here and see if it holds a higher low. But I don't think that there's really anything here on Russell. The thing that we wanted to see from our sellers did not happen, and we're seeing a sustained bid again, or attempt at least. NQ held our pivot, no change there, just rotating in between our target as well as our previous buyer. So again, if our previous buyer can hold as our offer, then we can look for a continuation down.
Fitz Kashkari says the
But
economy
if
is
this just
confusing.
balances here
The job
and then
market
pops
is
back up,
showing signs of
then
weakness.
that's most likely what happens. It's just our balance at our lows. I've already given you
And
trade,
inflation is still
and now
too
we're
high,
just in a
but moving
runner.
in the right direction.
There's nothing here. You either play off your top edge or you play off your bottom edge. You don't try to do something in the middle. If you can't execute fast enough, then you just gotta wait. Like there's nothing else. Too many of you are getting FOMO at the wrong places.
French government survives second no confidence motion filed by far-right National Rally, a party in the National Assembly. And the video with Bostic has also begun as well. Kashkari says overall the economy seems quite resilient.
Holding a higher low at our pivot so far. Just rotation back up to our higher pivot. Yeah, they're playing your edge low or your edge
And the
high, or
economy
you're
has
not doing
slowed as
anything.
much as expected. There is a K-shaped economy.
Yes. RTY holding a higher low as well, just like we talked about. Holding our top edge. Just rotating back up off this. Just watch as we push into like 51.2. NQ at our pivot.
Kashkari says, I wonder how tight monetary policy actually is.
What do you mean you wonder?
And Bostic has begun speaking. Bostic says Powell's video said all that is needed to say. Kashkari says, I have seen less tariff pass-through than expected.
This is your full move on RTY, in my opinion, where we meant to, or we're potentially seeing selling pressure here again. We'll see.
Kashkari says another price bump related to tariffs could happen.
Just backed into our reversion zone and ETH high off of our bounce of our 30-second opening range. This is what we have passed. We're watching to see now if we can sustain here on a look above on NQ and RTY. Can we hold this edge for that full, for that final rotation back up into our 510, 530? we are doing this, if that's not obvious.
Ed Bostic says inflation is still quite far from where we need it to be. And the economy has been remarkably resilient. Kashkari says tariffs haven't been a gut punch many feared, but the long-term story is still playing out. Bostic says those are not characteristics that suggest to me a passive posture is appropriate. We still need to be restrictive. Again, that's Bostic saying we still need a restrictive posture on rates. Bostic says we could put more upward pressure on prices, and that is something we have to watch. Bostic adds that the inflation challenge has not been won yet. Kashkari says inflation remains target and remains committed to getting to that level.
$40 seconds till new 15s. We're watching to see if we trap on this look above and then look back below, or if we're going to continue to see this retrace of this full candle. We held our lows, POC held at the lows. We opened and held our POC to value low, and we're rotating right back up to our previous structure. Same thing on NQ and ES, right? Like it's the literally POCs and lows, sustained bid, no look below, and continuation down. So rotation back up.
Housing-related inflation is easing.
Now it's just a wait and see kind of scenario. Now that we've done that, right? We're watching to see if this is going to be a trap up here on both. Just keep an eye on your POCs. We know that Russell's already at our resistance,
but it's not clearly weak.
We'll see.
According to 74 News, Paramount and Netflix met with European Commission yesterday. As Kashkari says, I think inflation is heading now, and it's unclear where it lands at the year end. I do not expect inflation to surge again.
Into our value lows of previous candles. This is about as far as you want it to go on ES and NQ on the dip if we're going to hold higher lows, in my opinion. If we can't sustain here, then I'd look for these guys to be trapped on any sort of reoffer if we make another lower high. I'm watching this value low here. That's the lowest you want to see it go.
Entry-level hiring is probably linked to AI.
And the same thing on
US
ES
Treasury
here.
Secretary Besant, now speaking, says that I discussed critical minerals with Australia's treasurer. This is just a post on X that he's put on here. Also adds that as other than mineral opportunities, spoke with other areas of mutual economic and national security interest. Kashkari says current Fed balance sheet expansion is not quantitative easing.
Lost momentum on Russell led to our push down, just back down to our value lows of previous candles. We are rotating between that high POC and that low POC in this current range. It is an inside bar on the 15. I'm not looking for continued downside until we can flip this 440, 450 area. Until then, I expect the bid to just be here. If we can flip it and see a very clear offer, then I'll look for a pretty aggressive sell side to the downside.
With the economy is pretty good,
but expect that we continue to absorb here for until we see that flip. We can see like it's pretty reactive so far. They are trying, right? But like that sell that we just saw was because of those guys who were offsides that we have circled into the highs. We have to flip these pivots and show interest below, or we'll continue to just bid here and trap.
FedSpot says we're in a difficult environment to see what might be coming in the economy and inflation. We should not expect there would be 100% consensus on everything. Kashkari says that the biggest barrier to housing market is supply. Kashkari declines to comment on Trump administration buying mortgage bonds.
Again, this is an inside candle. This is the range. So until we see a breach of our lows or a breach of our highs, treat this as an inside candle. You can try to leave a runner if you're in from higher, but like don't go crazy here. Expect your runner to potentially fully retrace on you, right? Like you have to go into it with that expectation because we haven't seen anything new. It is an inside candle from our sell as of right now. We want to see a breach of this POC to value low. We want to see this become resistance, right? But we understand that there is a buyer here. This is already shown as where demand rests on footprint, right? This liquidity isn't something that I drew. This is on chart. We know that there's liquidity here. So don't act surprised when we bounce off of said liquidity, please.
Kashkari says Fed's job and inflation goals are in tension.
RTY back to VWAP off of a hold of our reversion zone high. We've reverted. We've done that full move. Now it's a matter of, do we get more or does it find a bid here once again? Russell is very flat. Just back to our 30-second opening range. ES and NQ holding our lows. These need to flip as pivots.
Kashkari welcomes the recent decline in the unemployment rate. Kashkari says the Fed really needs to monitor both sides of its mandates.
Who is surprised that we bounced there? Wow. How could this happen? Hmm. Again, until those flip, there's just
Kashkari
nothing new.
says that I consistently hear from businesses about the desire for legal immigration.
See if there's a lower offer here into our 75.90. We hold our value low on NQ on the daily, or if there's going to be some sort of shift. We got our bounce at VWAP on Russell, got our bounce on our liquidity on ES, like we talked about. Got our bounce on NQ liquidity at this 440, 450, no change. Need to flip below this for anything more, or it's just another inside candle while we wait for
Kashkari says,
a
I'm
break
not
of
sure
this
what the
consolidation.
current break-even rate is for the job market.
We want those guys up at 90 to continue to be offsides if we're going to continue lower, in my opinion. Right? We want those guys to continue to try to be trapped, and we want that offer to sustain below. Without that, right, it's just another bounce at our lows, and then we'll look to take out these guys, and then just keep going up off of a failure at our lows.
Zelensky says state of emergency will be declared for Ukraine's energy sector following Russian attacks.
Do you see how you can just play your edges and like life is easier? Like, I'm really not trying to be a dick, but I know that you guys are like counter trend trading me, which is like, right, it's like, what are we doing? Just like play the range that's being given. Like, I don't understand. Just like stop making it more difficult. This is POC of previous candle and where you should be taking off your risk if you're trading off of lows. This is also POC on the daily on NQ. Russell back at the top of range off of hold of our view up. ES back into our offer here at 34s. Again, should be your first risk off, but look for the breach of highs and then and one more leg higher if we can breach those highs. Off of the hold of the lows, right? Just gonna keep an eye on this area. If there's no interest lower, then we have to go higher to draw interest lower, right? Like it's just, it is what it is. If there aren't enough sellers below, right, then we have to go up higher to meet said sellers before we can reach out of an area.
And that concludes comments from Fed's Bostic.
Nice job. 50 seconds till new 15s. Still an inside candle. New 15s. No breach of highs from our trap traders.
Norway Armed Forces have sent 2 officers to Greenland.
Oh, and 2 officers. That'll stop them. Inside candles still holding, no change. Watching to see if we can find a higher low here across the board or if this is going to fail and then rotate down. We're watching our value high of previous candle here at 75s on NQ for a potential bid. They can hold that, you're in an okay spot for breach of highs and continuation up, but if we can't, then we'll just rotate right back down to that POC down at 450. Again, it's an inside range. We're still in an inside candle. There's no breach on either side. Russell's starting to lead down. ES is flat. We need to see a very clear bid here.
And OpenAI have taken early steps to go public.
Or it will just rotate through the full range. Dude, these AI companies going public is just not... That's scary. When that bubble pops, it's going to be rough. Like our portfolios weren't tied enough into AI already with tech. Terrifying.
Ashkari says it will take a few months for data to be fully clean again. Kashkari says, I feel pretty confident the job market is moving sideways and inflation is easing.
Oh, Lord.
Ashkari says, most businesses' AI use now is experimental. It's not yet leading to layoffs.
You know, I found out yesterday that the Cleveland Clinic uses Palantir. That's how they manage their beds with Palantir. Kind of crazy. Companies everywhere. Yeah. People are upset with them working with Palantir, let me tell you.
We have also posted out the article from the New York Times. Again, Anthropic and OpenAI have taken early steps to go public.
Oh, that's actually a bad article. It's not bad. It's a little short, though. They don't go over the numbers. So where's the article with the numbers? But basically, Palantir let them serve the most patients in its entire history last year. Where's the article that I read, man? Oh, I guess this is the article. Yeah, 75% reduction in time spent calculating bed capacity, 10% increase in daily hospital transfer admission, 20% increase in time efficiency assigning beds after transfer requests. It's decent. But year over year, it resulted in... Dude, the software at this place is so bad across the board. Everything is terrible. Everything is awful. Everything is so convoluted and janky and was made by like a solo dev that knows someone. That's what I've been like making videos for. Is like all of this like software that needs to just go away. It's all terrible. And there's like zero communication intra-department with like the actual devs. So like these devs have like a general idea of what they're supposed to be creating, but then they have no communication with the actual people who are using it to like any degree. So you just have like higher ups telling you what they need and communicating with devs, but no project manager to bounce it between the actual team who's going to be using it. And then like things just never get updated after initial launch. It's insane. Insane. Yeah, it was a big eye opener for me. So I used to like hold the Cleveland Clinic in like the highest of standards and being like, oh wow, like this is like one of the best hospitals in the world. And then you like actually see the inner workings of it, and it's like, oh, everything's on fire. Like, oh, everyone's miserable.
According to people familiar with the matter, Taiwanese officials head to Washington to advance trade back. So this has already been said, but just being picked up again here. Kashkari says households have pretty good balance sheets.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane how bureaucratic some of these companies have gotten.
Kashkari adds that I haven't seen anything very alarming in consumer borrowing yet.
It's refreshing when you see people be like, hey, maybe if we ask the people who actually work for us and do this job what could improve, maybe things would improve. Like, that's a crazy
Inflation
concept.
has been the main driver thus far of financial distress.
And like, if you're not going to do that, at least hire a project manager for your teams who work with, as the intermediary for the people who are working the job and the people who are doing the development. It's just so necessary. Later.
That concludes comments from Fitz Kashkari.
Our lows continue to low. No change. Inside candle is persisting. Our absorption that we spotted at our lows is continuing to hold. No look below equals rotations back up the highs. If you're playing off of that top edge, this is your risk off into our 510, 530. No change there. Need to see some sort of shift where we will continue to range between our pivots. Same thing on ES as we push up into 39 to 44. Watch as we breach this high. Yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, what else are you gonna do? Short? Right? Like, I don't understand the thought process. Like, you're either already in a short from higher, or you're going to trade the range that's consolidating, and you just play off the given low. There's no break of value below us, only break of our highs. So all we're doing, like I said before, is like looking higher for a seek of liquidity lower, because there's very clearly zero interest lower right now. Right? Like, there's almost zero interest below our value low so far that we spotted, but there's lots of interest above our value high, right? So we have to look higher first, back into our sell side, before we can look lower. Or we need to very clearly breach this and then show a sustained bid, or a sustained offer below that. But if like there's no one showing up down here other than a buyer willing to take in size, like what are you doing, dingus? Don't short here until we see the flip. Like there's very clearly someone taking in size down here. So you either play with them for rotations back up to our offer that's higher for that liquidity, or you wait for that to breach and for this guy to dip out of the way. Like that's it. That's all you got. I need people to understand that. Like I don't I don't know what else to say. I don't know, man. I honestly made all the money I needed to in the first 5 minutes of me being here. Everything else after has just been icing on the cake. So I don't know. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe now I'll leave. I don't know, it just depends. If I don't see people like doing anything, then there's no reason to trade. Like if I'm just talking to myself and I'm not seeing people making money, then it doesn't make sense to sit here. So I usually leave when people start to quiet down because it's just like, what's the point? Like I'm not trading for me. I've already made my money for the day. No, it's not about that. It's just like Again, like, I'm not trying to like guilt people into trading. I just like, if there's no interest, then I'm gonna go do something else with my time. That's all. Like, this was our first trade of the day when I got on today, right? This was just our PVZ hold off of NQ. Like, that was, when I say like it was like the first trade, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we just saw this as our move for that upside.
According to Down Detector, users report indicate problems with Verizon and T-Mobile. Also with AT&T.
Sly Fox says, we're going there after this pullback. Boom, what I say. You mean the range? Yeah. It's huge, man. Surely we get the breach now, yeah? Surely we don't do another rotation.
EU Parliament leaders call on EU Commission and Council to define concrete and tangible support to Greenland and Denmark.
You're good, guys. Like, again, like, it's just it's a matter of like we slow down midday, and I don't want to sit here for like the 3 hours of the slowdown. I'm still in this trade from 5:30 on the short side. There's no change here, but If we continue to absorb, we might have to go higher than my 530 than the low. We'll see. Any look below needs to be a very clear sustained hold. If we continue to just absorb here at this buyer, I'm not super excited about trading this rectangle that we're currently in between 510, 530 and this 430, 450. Our pivots have been very clear and on chart for this entire rotation. We talked about what was going to happen. I'm just waiting. If we can get the continuation down, awesome, right? Let's do it. But we're going to need to see a very clear hold and flip of these lows where this buyer steps out of the way and then very clearly becomes our offer, or it's just going to be a trap trader and a look below, and then we'll go higher. But it's just a consolidation and an overall downtrend. We've got on chart what I want to see. Why is your blender so small? Why is it like a half blender? I'm so confused. Why is... Shouldn't it be like twice the size, Sauce? He's only one man? I mean, you don't have to fill the entire blender, but don't you want the space? I've never seen that before. Huh. It's like a food processor, but on like a blender base. Innovation, truly. What if we made the product smaller? New 15s opening above POC of previous candle on both NQ and ES, our base holding. If sell side's going to show, we really want to see a lower high. Like, we need to see a lower offer step in and then push us below this garbage, or this is just going to continue to absorb, like I talked about. We need to see like a very clear hold of, I'd like to see 75 80s hold offer like we have drawn. Like, I'll be so much more interested in the short idea for continuation down, and I'll be a believer, if you will, you know, if we see that. We can see that offer actually like sustain lower where this edge holds and then these guys are like remain off sides, right? If we can do one of these, I'd be so happy. If we can't do that, we're just going to continue to do nothing until we trap someone, right? We want these guys to be trapped up here. And for them to be trapped, we need to not go back up there. We need to make a lower high. So I'd love for us to hold that 80 area, hold this sweeper to the downside where we have this very clear liquidity, right? This stacked imbalance that we've created on footprint. I'd love for us to hold that on offer for a lower high and then, you know, shift below this 30 for continuation down. Without that, we'll continue to just absorb where we are and nothing will change. So just keep an eye out for this lower high and see if we can then get below these buyers and then defend it. Without that, I just don't see the trade. You know what I need? I was just thinking about this. I need a signal of when people watch this entire rotation and, you know, the people who have been listening to me over and over again and how I say we need to flip this pivot and exactly what we need. When you finally watch this rotation happen 35 times and now you're going to take it, let me know so that I can inverse you. That'll be the time we break down. So please in chat, let me know when you're finally going to take the trade that I've given you for free for the last hour. Let me know when you're going to take it so that I can counter trend trade you.
Preferred candidates
Please.
for ECB vice presidency.
That'll be our breakdown. Another rotation on NQ and ES, absorption continuing to hold, no look below, no invalidation, structure remains. Again, if offer is going to be anywhere, I'd want it to be here if we're going to put in a lower high into our value of previous candle. If we don't see this seller step in here at this top edge, then we'll just do full rotations up, in my opinion. We really want to see from this bid a lower offer where we defend these guys above and keep them off sides and then look below. That's the only way that I see this downside leg playing without us having to look higher and trap higher. So let's see what we do here into 80, but don't know. Like I just don't like it's just the classic, bro. It's like you guys will watch an area for 40 different rotations and then the one it's just a classic. Yeah, that movie is a classic, Kevin. It's so good. Roy, did you get hightail? Look at this area I found last night. I went through a portal and then this was there. Crazy. In its current state, it feels like Minecraft with mods. So like if you're cool with just like building and like grinding blocks and like building, it feels really good. The combat feels better. It's much more advanced than Minecraft's. The building is nice. It feels really fluid. The game runs incredibly well. I haven't encountered a single bug yet. But it is basically like vanilla. It's like Minecraft right now, right? Like there isn't a lot to do yet in the world. No, I haven't seen a single bug. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything personally, but I think for like people who really loved Minecraft, the game's already in a great state. For people who want more of like an RPG experience, the game's not there yet. Like there are lots of like places on the map to explore, but they're all like work in progresses still. Like nothing's really like refined or finished in that sense. So it's just kind of like a sandbox world right now where you can build and do whatever. like I said, it feels like a very heavily modded Minecraft right now. So like if you're unwilling to just kind of like chill and, you know, grind out blocks and build something, then it's probably not worth buying yet. But if that sounds like your cup of tea, then it's totally worth. My brothers were on the game for like 12 hours yesterday. It's insane. Oh yeah, like Feed the Beast is crazy. That's a good one. So much to do. Yeah, I was watching them in Discord, just like the entire time I was out yesterday. It's like, oh, they're getting off and it's like 2 in the morning. I'm like, all right. Like, you guys had a good first day on the game. Sick. His first day of unemployment. Yeah, it's gonna be great. What a just tremendous blunder from Riot. What a tremendous blunder. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, do they not like free money? Like, I don't. Bro, that's cope. That's cope. But I hope so. That's funny. Do you actually feel a difference with the AG1? The people who take it swear by it. Are you a AG1 believer? Gives me routine. Do you feel like it does more than that? Or is it just like one of those? I mean, it's complete. I think that works. Like routine is huge, right? Like it can do wonders. But I really like do want to know like if you do feel better. Yeah, I mean it's kind of expensive for what it is. I don't know. I've always wondered with stuff like that. I always get the advertisement on the architecture videos that I watch. I'm like, one day I'll buy this. Because like it's for gut health, right? But does it do more than just like taking a shot of like unfiltered apple cider vinegar? Like I really would love to see some actual science. I don't know. Okay, yes, then that's really good for you. When you can just like put it in a glass and drink it and be done, and it's part of your routine. You don't eat greens. Hmm. I don't really eat a lot of leafy greens. I eat a lot of vegetables and I eat a lot of cabbage because I like the crunch. But like other than cabbage, not really. Like I love like a shredded cabbage or like a shredded broccoli. That's usually what my salad bases are. A broccoli slaw. I don't know if I'm like missing out
Surely
on
expecting
certain
a Fed
vitamins from
reverse
that
repo
though.
operation.
Maybe I am. Yeah, they do indeed. It's just so easy to make once you get like a mandolin. But yeah, if you're unwilling to do that, then it's definitely worth buying just like the bagged one. My issue with that is that like it doesn't last long in the fridge. You have to like kind of eat it all at once, you know? It's like it's good for like a week and a half. And I'm like I want to eat it in every once in a while. And if you like keep it as like a head of cabbage, like it lasts so much longer. Yeah, exactly. You have to like eat cabbage for for all your meals after you buy it. What's up, Greta? That's always my issue with Costco vegetables. It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm eating this one thing for the next 2
15
weeks.
counterparties take free spot 223 billion at the Fed reverse repo operation.
Or it's like if you buy bread, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm having bread every day of the week for the next 2 weeks, or this is going to go bad. What's up, club? Your favorite artist, Taylor Swift? Or your favorite artist, Bruno Mars? Or your favorite artist, uh, Jenny? Yeah, it's like the only way, Nikki. Like, I don't know what else you could do, you know? Like, what? It's if not, then you just you have the same meal every day. What I need to do is buy like a vacuum sealer so I can just vacuum seal my leftovers. You got the tickets. Huge. How much did those run you? Holy. You're crazy, brother. 1.3K is crazy. Holy. Dude, what? He's worth it? I don't know, man. It's a lot of money. I don't know if I'd be willing to pay any band $500 to go see. I don't think like for a single act. No, never. It would have to be like I'm going to like an event where I'm gonna see like 19 bands. Yeah, right, exactly. For a single person, that's insane. Yeah, exactly. Coachella is the same for 3 days, and you're paying the same price for just Bruno. Hello? Hey, I guess hey, if you got it, you got it. I don't, I don't know what to tell you. That's insane. Uh, that's insane. You don't have it? Okay, well, you know. Uh, I mean, that's not a bad idea, Grotto. If you can sell it, if you only need two, right, I'm with you. Oh, now see, now Basil's got the right way. Watch it on YouTube. Sell all three.
Beijing tells Chinese firms to stop using software from CrowdStrike, Mandiant, Wiz, Centerlone, Recorded Future, McAfee, Clariote, and Rapid7.
Where what, is it like a stadium? You paid $500 for stadium seating? Please don't tell me you paid for like not floors that much. That's crazy. Dude, what? Bruno Mars is that big? Look at these prices. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Why is this $4,000? Oh, okay, it's the VIP. Hey, that's a terrible location. 4K and that's your view? This concert is not worth going to unless you're in 3. That's my opinion. Like, if you aren't in that 3 section, you might as well watch on YouTube because you're going to be looking at that screen all show. You're just going to be watching the video recording that's being displayed. I haven't been to a concert this year. So maybe like 2 months ago. What was the last concert that I went to? Great question. Uh, I think the last show I went to was the Beth in November. But I like refuse to go to those stadium shows. What a waste of money. the last like stadium show that I went to was Rage Against the Machine, and it was because I thought that I was never going to be able to see them again. That was a couple years ago. When they did their like reunion tour, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Might as well go to that. But other than that, I try to like stick with smaller venues or medium-sized venues where it just does not feel worth. So like impersonal. Yeah, the Rage concert was great. Guys, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna just continue to yap here while we chop at our pivot. I'm not gonna lie to you. As fun as this is. 40 seconds till new 15s, coming back up to top of ranges here on both ES and NQ from our low hold where we've identified buyers absorbing. Watch to see how we interact as we push into these highs, into new 15s. Russell also leading up, trying to build at our ETH high and our value high on the day. See what we do as we push up here. Into a top of range. Again, this is just where our sell side sits into this 510, 530. Would need to flip this and then show interest over 60s for really anything new, or we'll just continue to absorb into these highs. Just top of range. It's the same thing for both sides of this trade. Like I either need to see a very clear higher low at this like 70 to 80 from this reaction at our 510s, or I need to see, like I want to see our shift occur here, right? For either direction. I want to see either like a very clear lower high or a very clear hold from this retest. If we're gonna break out of here, right? Like this is fine if we can now hold here and not have to do the full range rotation, and we can hold like a very clear higher low, right? So like we want to see the bid here because that would then show us that these buyers are willing to, you know, push up on price and try to sustain at the high of our range. But like if we don't see that happen, then we just expect another full rotation through and nothing has changed in anything that we're doing. It's really important that we see this like secondary buyer or secondary seller step in from a look in one of these edges for anything new. Like if no one's willing to initiate in the mid, then nothing's really changed in the auction. You know what I mean? Like if there's still just a buyer at our lows and a seller at our highs and no one cares about the middle of our range, then like, okay, we're still in a rectangle. So until we can identify that secondary buyer or secondary seller, just expect the same thing to continue to happen. Same thing on ES, right? It's literally the same thing. Zone to zone. Well, we trade the rectangle. Full rotation. Look how much like work we have to do to get back up there, and then every time it's just like, oh, okay, we're going down. An hour to get back up to that high where that seller's sitting at 510s, and then the seller initiates and the buyer just steps out of the way. It's like, oh, okay, sweet. Russell coming into VWAP here. ES coming back into our low of range. NQ into our absorption. Watching to see if we find a buyer here once again for a look back in over 450 for the bid to step in again, or if offer is going to sustain here. Watch for a reactive relief as ES comes into this edge and Russell comes back to VWAP. NQ can see definitely a little bit of a look below, but it might be a trap if we can get back over 450 for the bid. So just be careful. Again, we're watching this area here. We want to see this look either very clearly below, and we want to see this not bid here on RTY, or we'll trap NQ or NQ enjoyers here into our 430. Watch to see if we can recover 450 from this 430 low and then rotate back up to 480, or if this is going to offer and hold below. Again, nothing has changed on anything. Just be careful. The most bearish offer would be a hold of 450 and then a look below 430 if we aren't going to go just up to 480. Right, you're keeping an eye on in this low. We want to see, again, like this would be the most bearish, is if we couldn't build here and then get that secondary bid. Do you see how we did that on the last attempt? So from here, if this now holds offer and then we step down, that's bearish as hell. If we just absorb here and chop sideways and then look above and then bid, this then becomes your risk for the long, for the rotation back up. Same as before. Remember, we need to see a sustained offer below for continuation. So far being absorbed here into these lows. Yes, no indication yet that we want to push below. RTY bouncing view up so far. Again, if we flip back over 50s, this is going to invalidate. You need to see this offer like stick here now from this 450 hold, and now ideally in this 430, or this will be just a trap like we did on the look below. It'll be a trap on the look, sorry, on the look above. It'll be a trap on the look below. So have your risk pretty tight, and let's see what we do.
Bild newspaper says Germany will send soldiers to Greenland this week.
We're going to war with Europe. Love that. POC is attempting to shift here from our top edge to this 450. We're watching to see if this shift is going to occur, if we're going to be able to hold this offer here and then look below, or if we're going to be able to sustain here and then rotate right back up. Again, for the offer to really be taken seriously, it's got to either hold here. I personally am a strong believer that we rotate up to 80s here and then go down. I don't believe that we get this move without this, but we'll see. I need to see like a very clear lower high. This to me just feels very trappy, especially with ES still maintaining where it needs to and Russell sideways, personally. But if we can get that offer at 80 and then look back below, I would be much more eager to look for this move. I don't know, we'll see. But with ES holding, it's a bit awkward to call anything. I still like continued downside overall. I just don't know if this is going to be the one that does it if we don't have full participation. That's my my issue with the divergence on ES with us holding our pivot. It's like, okay, well, what's going to get us down? What's going to be the driving force? So if ES was below when NQ looked below, I'd be a bit more of a believer. But without it, I just feel like we need to see we need to test into like 70 to 80 first to see if that seller is serious with where those deltas are sitting. Got like a negative 575 delta at 470, and we have that offside buyer into 480, 490. So to me, that retest and then lower offer would be a great first sign, and then a very clear flip of our 430 for a continuation down for the leader. That is what I'm waiting for.
G7 remains prepared to impose additional restrictive measures if Iran continues to crack down on protests in a statement.
Note that like we're holding above POC from previous candle on NQ, right? And we've recovered our 50s, which is the long signal from the look back in. So it's like, now how do we interact as we push up into this offer that's sitting up here? This is where you'd want to see it happen, and your first risk off is for 20 points. Do you get me? Does that make sense? Okay, and this is of course first target on ES as well from our hold, where we never saw an invalidation. So now if like a seller is serious, they will hold this POC shift as our offer, and then we'll look below, and then we'll very clearly hold this as resistance on the continuation down. And that would be our lower high, and then this buyer trapped off sides outside of our range, right? Like that would be our identification, with ES also showing that interest below. But without it, it just looks like a trap trader into these lows, especially with ES sustaining and RTY sustaining at our VWAP, right? We haven't seen a shift. So why are we expecting anything to have changed if we don't see that shift across the full market? And that just gives you another trade. So it makes more sense, like we always talk about, is like you look for the look in, and then if we recover our edge, then this becomes your risk for the long side play. You get me? Like, doesn't that make way more sense, just waiting for this look above and then treating this as your offer, or sorry, as your risk for the rotation up? Especially when nothing is invalidated on any other signal, right? So it's just like, wait for that. And then if we see a seller sitting here and then we look below, then we look for our aggressive short. That to me makes so much more sense. But like if we don't see this guy here, we just do a full rotation up again, and then nothing's changed. You can see it's the same thing that happened on the last attempt, right? Like this isn't some crazy thing that we just came up with on the spot. It's the look in, the offer of our 50, right? Sellers attempted, they failed. We then step back over said seller, and then we rotate up, right? It literally just happened here as well, right? There was an attempt for the seller to shift. They failed. We looked below. We absorbed. We bid back up. Secondary buyers stepped in. We rotated back up. Again, if we're going to do our offer, I'd want it to be here. This is your first risk off for longs. If we don't sell here, then we risk off into 510. Be objective. Right? Offers here. This makes sense. There's nothing crazy about this idea, right? If we can talk it through in advance of what we're looking for and why we're looking for said things at areas, right? Like we're on the right track. We are in a market that we understand, and that is good. That means we haven't lost the plot. We're still, things are making sense. So this is where you have to look for buyers again at 450. Because this is where we now determine if we're now back in range and if this participant is willing to defend this edge, right? And if we then step over, or if this guy is going to remain off sides, who's above, and we've put in a lower high. And then if we're going to be able to then flip them and then make this resistance for that continuation down, right? This is our test. It is our recovery of our range. None of these concepts are new, but you should be aware of them because they create trading opportunities for you if you understand where we're going to go and where you should be looking to risk off and where we should be expecting these bounces to occur.
So a reminder, in 10 minutes time, we're expecting Trump to participate in a signing ceremony. We do have a live stream by his name in the economic calendar, and we will post it on the feed in due time.
In due time. Took off a little bit more risk here on our rotation up. There's your full rotation on ES as we rotate up into highs again off of our hold of our low, no change. Same thing on NQ on the recovery of 50s, rotating up. If we can hold this 90, should be able to rotate up into this 510, 530. Yeah. Full rotations off of hold of our lows, no change. Full rotations, boys, right? Yeah? Did we talk, was I able to walk you through that and why I don't expect that short to play? Were you able to make money off of that? Full rotation on NQ as well, pushing up. Okay, that's probably my last trade. You can leave it as a runner, but that was probably it, to be honest. We'll see. I'm gonna go live my life.
Denmark's Foreign Minister Rasmussen, speaking now, says we came to the US following a number of remarkable comments about Greenland.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'm out of here. You guys have a good one. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I will post charts in chat. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, range is still ranging, right? But the more we hold those lows and the more those fail, the higher we're gonna have to look before we can sell. But it's still a box, boys, right? So just like we were looking at the failure at the lows, you have to look for the failure at the highs and then look back in. If that's, then you get rotations like this. If we can actually build above VWAP and get back over our ADR, awesome. Then we can rotate up into our ranges that we played earlier in the day. Yeah. But remember, at the end of the day, all this is going to be reversions to our 15-minute VWAPs, if anything, until proven otherwise. Russell is just very clearly just rotating up into our higher deviation and then selling back to VWAP and then bouncing, finding relief.
Foreign Minister says Greenland is covered by Article 5 and we are eager to work with the US.
I don't know. I don't really want to sit here for Trump's speech, though. I want to leave on a winner
Trump
and
participate
get the hell
in a
out.
signing ceremony. We have put the live stream on the feed for those interested.
Yeah. So good luck with this Trump speech. I don't want to hear him talk about invading Greenland personally, or I might rage quit.
Send over a dozen reconnaissance troops to Greenland on Thursday, a government spokesperson has said.
All right. Goodbye. See you all tomorrow. Hold runners. Let it be. Look for the short if we show interest on all sides, right from the look below. We need that lower high. Without that lower high, don't even
frank,
bother.
Constructive discussion with the US officials. Denmark believes long-term security of Greenland is